Another top 5 video, my favorite pop culture swords. Let's get into it. Hello YouTube, Axioman here once again. And in this top 5 video, I wanted to actually separate my favorite top 5 swords between fantasy and sci-fi. But I figured this would make it a little bit more difficult because when you combine the two, you really have to eliminate a lot of cool weaponry, specifically swords. So I totally wanted to separate the two. No. Let's make it a little harder, right? Top 5, my favorite swords in the realm of pop culture. So many out there. Maybe one day I will make a video, 2 videos, where I separate the two, fantasy, sci-fi, maybe even a third video of comic book, because there are some good comic book ones out there. But for this specific video, let's go ahead and get into it and get into number 1. As always, in no particular order, number 1 goes to Lionel's Sword of Omens. As an 80s kid, I grew up watching Thundercats. And the sword would start off by being a small dagger. And when he did the move, if you're not familiar with Thundercats, what's the matter with you? He would go through the motion. Thunder, 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 Thundercats, ho! And the sword, as he slashed it, would get bigger, 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 and then it grow into the actual Sword of Omens. The creators of the show, geniuses, geniuses. But it's so iconic. He would put it right next to his eyes, and it would give him sight beyond sight. And then the cool emblem in the middle, which was the cat eye. It's just such a cool looking sword. Just an awesome, the way it becomes a dagger, from a dagger to a sword. I had to include it, especially as I mentioned, as a child of the 80s. Has to be. It has to be. It's a must. Let's go on to number 2. Number 2, speaking of the 80s, once again, He-Man's Power Sword. So impractical. With that small, skinny handle, and then just the bulkiness, but who cares? These swords are not meant for practicality. They're not meant for, well, you would never be able to wield it. Yeah, who cares? As long as they look cool. And more importantly, if you connected to it as a child, in my case as a child, or even as an adult, who cares, right? Just the connection in and of itself should be enough to add to your top 5 list. Let me know in the comment section. I know we're only on number 2. But let me know what your top 5 swords are. But number 2 on my specific list, specific? I just screwed that up a little bit there. Blah, blah, blah. Is He-Man's sword. And of course, his arch nemesis, right, Skeletor, had a very similar looking sword. But in this case, I'm speaking specifically about He-Man's sword, the gray sword with that skinny handle and the big cross guard. That is it even a cross guard? I don't know. Once again, it doesn't matter. Such a cool, iconic sword, especially when he would mount up on Battle Cat, raise it up above him. Woo, woo, gives me chills just thinking about it. Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 on my list is not necessarily a sword for regular size humans. Number 3 on my list is Sting. The dagger, technically the dagger from the Lord of the Rings that Bilbo Baggins and then later Frodo Baggins carries. Now, why did I put this on the list of swords? Well, because in the movies, obviously in the books as well, Sting, because of the Hobbit's size, right? They're halflings. Well, when they would wield Sting, it was a sword like a weapon for them. So their statue, when they would wield it, would be the same as if an adult was carrying a sword. So in that respect, sword, sting, dagger, it's all here or whatever it is. It's a little bit of a cheat, but not really. And when I saw The Lord of the Rings for the first time in theaters, I fell in love with the design of that dagger. The Specifically from The Lord of the Rings, I know they came up with a newer version, or in that case, a prequel, newer version within the storyline of Sting, but I'm specifically referring to the one that came out in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, the original trilogy of Peter Jackson. The design on the blade and the elven writing on it, loved it. So much so that I actually purchased it once, had it stolen. That's a whole other story. And then I purchased it again. I actually own it again. It's in my Lord of the Rings weaponry collection. I love to this day the design, the look, and then just the story behind that dagger slash sword that Bilbo and then Frodo carried throughout their adventures. Love it. Love it. So let's go on to numero 4. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop a new video. Most importantly of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Number 4 is relatively new on my list. I struggled with this one because I thought, okay, no, I can't add it to this list because there's so many other cool ones. Doesn't matter how cool the weapons, the swords are. This is my list, and if I want to include it on the list, this is me mostly talking to myself in the mirror as I'm talking to the camera, then it's on my list. I mean, when you make a connection, as I said at the beginning of the video, then that's all that matters, right? And I'm referring to a weapon, a sword from the show House of Dragon. And specifically, it's Blackfire. In the last several months, I have just fallen in love with this weapon. I've been watching YouTube videos of people talking about this weapon. It's my favorite type of sword, which is the strongman, almost like the strongman longsword style or hand and a half sword, meaning that you have your grip and you can fight with one hand, but if needed, because of the extra length of the handle, you can actually fight with two hands, so hand and a half. And just the design of it is so awesome, and I love the fact that it tapers down into a very fine point. A lot of the swords don't do that. They have more of a, well, I mean, this is not the best example because it's a LARP weapons, LARP foam sword. But if you take a look at the sword when it was displayed here in the video, I'll just put it up again. It's got that nice thick at the handle and then tapers down like a triangle and less of a just almost like leaf-like type of sword. So I love the design. I love the hand guard, just everything about it. And then of course the history of the Blackfire sword. I will put a link in the description to the Ice and Fire wiki page. So ladies and gents, if you want to read up on it, it's such a badass story in the Targaryen line of Valyrian steel swords. So the history of it, the literature of it, the House Targaryen kind of lineage and everything that goes along with it. And then the designers of that sword, amazing, awesome design, awesome sword. Had to be on my list as number 4, but let's go ahead and move on to the final on number 5. Number 5 on my list, some of you might be wondering at this point in the video, especially those that know me more personally, they're like, there's no way, is he not going to include this? Yes, I am. The lightsaber. But which one specifically? For me, it's Luke Skywalker's from Episode 6, from Return of the Jedi. Why that one? Well, first of all, I like it better than Obi-Wan's from Episode 4. Just there's a certain design element. They're both almost similar in the way the emitter looks, but the handle has some differences. So I prefer Luke's to Obi-Wan's, but also because it was the first Star Wars movie that I ever watched. I didn't start with Episode 4 with A New Hope, and I had never seen Empire Strikes Back. I started watching Star Wars. My introduction to the film genre was Return of the Jedi through a hospital. I've talked about that story in other videos, so I won't talk about it here. But yeah, that was my introduction into the Star Wars universe, was Return of the Jedi. And when he lights up, when Luke Skywalker lights up that blade and it's green, beautiful, and the sound, we all know it at this point. It's 2025. It's such an iconic sound when it emits from the handle, and of course when it retracts. And side kind of cool story here. The lightsabers were blue in A New Hope, and of course in Empire Strikes Back. The reason that they had to go with the green was because if you know the scene when he first finally lights up his new lightsaber as a trained Jedi, well, they're on Jabba's barge and there's a bright blue sky behind them. So when he lit it up, it would just blend into the sky, so you couldn't really see it. So the only reason they turned it green was because it needed to not blend in with the blue sky in the back, with the Tatooine desert on Jabba's barge, with the bright blue sky in the back, no clouds, and they needed to change the color in order for audiences to be able to see it. Kind of cool. And in that, they created a whole new, sub levels of history and lore within just lightsabers themselves. I've always loved that story, but I had to include Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. Love him. And that's it for this top 5 video. I mentioned it earlier. Let me know in the comment section what your top 5 pop culture swords are, what your favorite ones are. Again, I am considering maybe splitting this into sci-fi, fantasy. I've said that a few times in the video, but for now, I wanted to keep it to this. And I want to do some honorable mentions, but I don't like doing that because it's almost like I'm cheating by throwing some other ones in. Hey, I know I didn't forget these, so I'm not going to do it. I'd rather let you, ladies and gents, let me know in the comment section below what your favorites are. Out there, there's so many. That is it for this video. As always, collect what you love what you collect. Doesn't necessarily have to mean comics, collectibles, statues. Sometimes it's just knowledge. I'll see y'all in the next one.